You believe the rage that floods your chest is strength. You believe the heat in your face is power. You are wrong. This is the first lie you must violently destroy within yourself. The explosion of fury you call lashing out is nothing more than a cheap, momentary delusion of power. It gives you the false sense of release, but what it truly delivers is your profound and measurable loss of control. The moment you allow yourself to erupt in anger, you have effectively handed the keys to your entire emotional citadel to the person or situation that provoked you. They have successfully pushed your internal button and proven that the fragile structure of your calm is easily breached. A chain is not a weapon, it is an instrument of bondage. Your anger is a chain. We must understand this fundamental truth. The energy you waste in fury is productive energy stolen from your true goals. Consider Miyamoto Musashi, a man who survived over 60 duels to the death, where a single misplaced emotion meant immediate decapitation. Musashi knew anger was a prison, an invisible weakness only the fragile allow themselves to possess. A true warrior cannot afford the luxury of uncontrolled emotion. His mind must remain a clear, cold lake, not a turbid, raging river. Your ability to fight is compromised the moment your perception is blurred by personal offense or ego. Musashi did not win because he was stronger, but because he was colder. He was a master of self-assessment, and he understood that the inner battlefield demands far stricter discipline than the external one. Your destructive outbursts are simply the undisciplined actions of a mind that has not been properly trained. This path of discipline is about building an emotional fortress so robust that the projectiles of the external world, the insults, the disrespect, the frustrations, cannot penetrate your essential calm. We must now proceed to peel back the layers of this delusion, seeking the hard truth beneath the satisfying, self-justifying warmth of your own rage. If you seek to walk the path of the warrior, you must first accept that your most celebrated emotional reactions are, in reality, your deepest vulnerabilities. Reflect on this. When was the last time your anger achieved your goal, and not just self-destruction? The greatest hurdle to internal mastery is the instinct to retaliate, a knee-jerk defense mechanism masquerading as justice. This fierce impulse is simply your ego screaming to defend an image you already know is fragile, a self-worth built on the unstable foundation of external opinion. When an insult lands, or a provocation ignites, your ego interprets it as an attack on your very existence, demanding immediate and costly retribution. To the untrained mind, an insult is a direct injury. To the master, it is just noise. It is a tool, a provocation merely an attempt to breach your internal defenses, hoping you are weak enough to lose your strategic posture and surrender your clear vision. Your reaction, not the offense itself, is what determines your fate in that moment, whether you are dealing with a verbal attack in a meeting or a direct challenge in the physical world. Musashi won because he saw conflict with a cold, surgical mind, never a heart blurred by pride or fury. The true battleground is the space between the stimulus and your response. When an opponent, or a situation, yells, panics, or insults, they are giving you invaluable data about their rhythm, their desperation, and their technique, which you are too busy being offended to process. This is the essence of the unbiased gaze, the ability to look at an aggressive challenge, or even a moment of sharp personal pain, without immediately collapsing into the emotional reaction it demands. You must learn to observe the feeling of anger rising. I notice I am feeling anger now, without becoming defined by it or allowing it to dictate your action. This small, deliberate pause creates the essential emotional distance that separates the conditioned reactor from the conscious warrior. In the pursuit of this ruthless self-control, consider the brutal truth. The easier it is to provoke you, the less actual power you possess. Your volatility is a measure of your internal insecurity. If a single careless word can derail your day, or a slight from a competitor can make you abandon a disciplined plan, you are not a free agent. You are a hostage to your own thin skin. This is the lesson of the water book in strategy. You must adopt the shape of your receptacle, flowing around obstacles rather than smashing into them with a rigid, predictable response. The wise person absorbs the impact, maintains their composure, and uses the opponent's wasted energy, their own anger, against them. The goal is to make yourself utterly unreadable, a silent and unmoving fortress that cannot be manipulated by noise. We now shift our focus from observing the enemy's weakness to forging your own unshakable internal defense through the disciplined rejection of comfort. After mastering the unbiased gaze, you discover the true root of your emotional volatility, a fundamental weakness of the spirit forged in the soft, predictable landscape of comfort. Comfort is the great betrayer. It softens the mind, and a soft mind reacts violently to everything that threatens its easy existence. This mind is the one that explodes at an insult, panics under pressure, and quickly retreats into self-pity when challenged. Your dependence on continuous pleasure, on the absence of friction, means you are constantly exposed. The slightest disruption, a cold room, a delay in traffic, a rude word, is perceived by your soft spirit as a catastrophe demanding an emotional overreaction. To escape the prison of reactive anger, you must first destroy your reliance on easy pleasure and external validation. This is the principle of the voluntary discomfort, the daily, self-imposed forging of an unshakable inner core. The ancient warrior, and the modern one, must intentionally seek out controlled, non-essential friction to build resilience. This is why practices like cold showers are not about hygiene, and fasting is not about diet. They are deliberate acts of self-inflicted discipline designed to teach your mind to tolerate suffering without seeking immediate escape. When you willingly choose discomfort, you are cutting a wire to your emotional slavery, proving to yourself that the feeling of being challenged is not the reality of being harmed. Every single morning, when you step into the cold water, you are not simply getting clean. You are telling the softer, weaker version of yourself, "You do not control me. My will is absolute." Musashi's life was a testament to this principle. He was constantly a ronin, a wanderer, never settling into the luxurious ease of an established lord. He embraced the harsh reality of the road, the necessity of adapting to every new circumstance and hardship, because he knew stability bred softness. To become insultable, you must internalize this habit of embracing friction. Think of self-imposed silence in a loud world, resisting the urge to check your phone or to speak when unnecessary. Each of these small, deliberate acts is not a punishment, but the daily forging of a mind that can remain still and powerful while the external world rages. This controlled friction hardens your spirit until it actually begins to hate its own weakness more than it fears any external opponent. It prepares the mind to convert raw, destructive energy, anger, into something focused and productive. The next step is to understand how to aim this emotional energy, turning the destructive fire of the ego into the forging heat of self-mastery. The rage you feel, the destructive impulse to lash out at the smallest slight, is a desperate, violent spasm of the ego. At the core of all this destructive fury is the ego, relentlessly fighting to protect its imagined worth, demanding recognition that has not been earned through action. You react not because the external world is powerful, but because your internal validation system is dangerously fragile. It is time to execute the death of ego, not through gentle meditation, but by turning the brutal energy of your own destructive rage into the focused fuel for your self-mastery. The common man's error is to direct his anger outward, aiming the gun at shadows and irrelevant opponents. Musashi's true path was to attack his own weakness, not the external world. He converted the wild, burning energy of ambition, frustration, and the fury of imperfection into the disciplined heat required to train, to study, to paint, and to write. His focus was singular. The only enemy worthy of his time was the potential mediocrity within himself. You must stop seeing the person who insulted you as the problem. The problem is your lack of control that allowed their words to penetrate your defense. The problem is the soft mind you have refused to harden. This is the ultimate conversion. You must convert the fury you feel at being disrespected into productive rage. Is someone questioning your commitment? Do not argue. Use that fierce heat to instantly hit your minimum training goals. Instead of yelling at the television or posting an emotional defense online, take that burning energy and direct it into silent, brutal execution of your most important task. That fury is a powerful, self-renewing source of energy, too precious to be wasted on meaningless public spectacle. Use it to work longer, study harder, or simply to remain silent when every weak impulse tells you to scream. When you consistently use that rage to attack your daily failings, your procrastination, your lack of focus, your dependency, you are starving your ego. When you no longer need external validation, the insults of the world simply become irrelevant noise. This strategic redirection allows you to remain calm not from a place of passivity, but from a position of coiled, lethal power, perfectly timed. After achieving the internal furnace of productive rage, the final step in mastering confrontation is the cultivation of impassive timing. This is the moment where the internal work, the cold showers, the mental self-assessment, the channeling of fury against your own weakness, manifests as deadly, surgical control in the external world. You are no longer merely resisting anger. You are actively weaponizing your calm. Consider the legendary duel between Musashi and Sasaki Kojiro. Musashi deliberately arrived late, infuriating his opponent. This was not merely an act of disrespect, it was a profound strategic move designed to exploit a known weakness. Musashi knew that Kojiro was vain and impatient. By forcing Kojiro to wait, Musashi allowed impatience and emotional fury to do half the work for him, causing Kojiro to lose his focused rhythm before a single sword was drawn. Musashi won that day because he forced his enemy to fight the man he was before the duel started, a man consumed by rage, while Musashi himself remained entirely centered. This is the key to the timing of the inevitable. While your enemy is reacting, panicking, or exploding in rage, you must remain impassive, observing, and waiting for the single moment of clarity. In conflict, most people rush, acting quickly and rashly because they are uncomfortable with the space of tension. They mistake speed for control. But speed is not part of the true way of strategy. The faster your opponent moves, the more their rhythm becomes deranged, and the more errors they commit. You must train your mind to view the opponent's anger and rush as a strategic gift, a momentary distortion of reality that will reveal their most exposed flank. Victory is not about being the first to strike. It is about delivering the inevitable strike from a position of total mental control. It means attacking at the moment when the opponent is still undecided, before they can withdraw or attack clearly. This is the essence of forestalling the enemy's intention. Your ultimate weapon is the ability to wait, to observe the rising and falling timing of the situation, and to attack the exact second the enemy's spirit collapses. The secret is simple. Transform patience into a weapon your opponent is too impulsive, too consumed by their own ego, to counter. This deliberate slowness and control, this ability to wait in the center of the storm, is what sets the master apart. Now, we move to the daily practice that anchors this imperturbable calm, taking it beyond philosophy and planting it in your nervous system. You have seen the weakness of anger, learned the necessity of the unbiased gaze, forged your spirit through voluntary discomfort, converted destructive fury into productive rage, and mastered the art of impassive timing. Yet, to make this mastery permanent, to ensure you do not slip back into the comfortable weakness of emotional reaction, you must anchor it all in the ultimate principle of the warrior: the void. The void, ku, is not emptiness. It is a state of mastery and pure clarity where the mind is not bewildered by external chaos, where wisdom has existence, and spirit is nothingness. It is the space where struggle becomes natural and hard becomes normal. You must understand this. The external world, with its daily provocations, is designed to keep your spirit clouded and bewildered. The final battle for every warrior is not against a visible opponent, but against the inner impulse that makes you believe you can afford to lose control. To enter the void is to choose not to be influenced by your opponent, your environment, or your own transient feelings. It is the place where discipline stops being something you do and becomes someone you are. Your action plan for permanent mastery starts now, planting the flag of the void directly into your nervous system. For the next 7 days, when you feel the familiar fire of rage rising, whether from an insult, a delay, or a challenge, you must implement strategic breathing. This is the single physical act that forces the essential pause, creating the vital, emotional distance required to choose calm over chaos. You will breathe as a warrior, not as a panicked civilian. Inhale slowly for 4 seconds through the nose. This anchors your focus away from the chaotic external event and onto the internal process. Then, exhale slowly for 6 seconds through the mouth. The extended exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, physiologically forcing a calm state. This is not a suggestion. This is your command over your own body. Repeat this until the fire is gone. That single, deliberate breath is your power. That measured pause is your victory. It is the moment you accept the eternal struggle against mediocrity and transform it into your nature. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your realization. By training to breathe in the face of fury, you are building the unshakable foundation where your mind remains clear and your actions are always purposeful. When you have reached this point, your struggle is no longer a price to endure. The struggle is the discipline itself. If you found value in this deep exploration of the warrior's path, where clarity is the ultimate sword and calmness the ultimate shield, then honor the discipline of this channel. Like this video to support the continuation of this philosophy, and subscribe to join the growing ranks of those forging their minds in the tradition of Miyamoto Musashi. Leave a comment below telling us what single practice, the unbiased gaze or strategic breathing, you will implement starting today. Your silence is your commitment. Your action is your transformation.